Crouse.
How do you define them? And in an era when people like to pigeonhole bands and movies and everything else so much, why have Rush continued to be so successful when no two albums really sound alike? I mean, they do, you can tell it's the same band, but the style of music does change.
Wow,
it's a lot of questions right there.
Let's start somewhere. I think I'd start with Rush is a rock band.
Right.
I don't think you can deny that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some key defining characteristics which unifies the Rush career. I mean, you've got Geddy Lee's voice, you've got Neil Peart's drumming, and a sound that tends not to get as much credit. You've got Alex Lifeson's guitar playing, which really is this kind of more chordal, almost orchestral approach to playing the guitar, which I think kind of binds the music together through the whole catalog. So certainly those are the aspects which unify the music, and I think the fans identify with them in different periods because they are attracted to the Rush philosophy and attitude just as much as they are the music and the sound itself. They're attracted to this idea that here's a band, I know when this next Rush record is going to be coming out, it's going to be the record that they wanted to make.
And that's the core group, right? Obviously, there's some people that was stuck with them for an album or two albums, but they were. I mean, they really are not a heavy metal band anymore. And they're new wave. They're progressive. I guess that's the only way you could describe them.
Yeah.
They progress.
Well, it was interesting too to see an hour and a half of them, the highlights of their career in the film, because as someone who has listened to them and just known them for a long time, I don't know, I had kind of forgotten that, they had a little flirtation, not with new wave music, but with sort of a style of dress and that kind of thing, and how they've sort of changed that stuff over the years as much, because the look to me was never as important, certainly, as the sound. And I think that one of the things the film makes kind of clear is they struggled a little bit with the look over the years.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, Geddy says we never really had a handle on the fashion thing, and as he says, we were staying in San Francisco, and we were staying in the Japanese part of town, and we started to said let's try on these kimonos, and that became the kimono period. And in the '80s it was a skinny tie period. But they were just having a laugh at it was about the music, and they thought, oh, okay, we have to have an image. What should it be? And that's why actually the band is pretty easy for a lot of people to dismiss, because they're not sexy. It's not a sexy band, and they're not. An image that's a kind of easy thing to make fun of in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were really influenced, at least in the early period of their career, by big British and American rock bands too, and they kind of had this idea that, oh, we got the music thing down, but yeah, what are we going to look like? And I think the fascinating thing, if you look at the arc of their career as a whole, is where Rush has arrived now, is that they're kind of up on stage wearing what they wanted to wear the whole time, which is the jeans and the T-shirt. So they've arrived at this point in their career where people have kind of, I think, accepted that Rush are part of music history and the musical landscape, and so we're just going to let them do their thing now. We don't need to, no pressure to wear a kimono anymore.
Right. Well, it's interesting because when I look at the early footage with John Rutsey as the drummer, it kind of seemed like they had the style thing, for the moment anyway, down more than when he was in the band than they did later when Neil Peart joined. Would you agree or no? I saw just a lot of satin suits, and that kind of thing.
There was some ridiculous kind of glam fashion going on, for sure. Neil, you could pretty much tell that Neil really never followed the fashion thing, was never that interested in it. Even though he was cool with his handlebar mustache, and there was a period where Neil was, considered a fashion icon in the rock world.
The little-known fact I've just thought of that we didn't get to include in the documentary, but was that we were at Geddy Lee's mom's house, and she was showing us old photos of Geddy in those kind of sequined, translucent outfits, and Geddy made those.
Yeah.
Really?
He made them himself.
Yeah, like you remember those TV? You could make your shirts with these sequins by putting them together. So I'm not sure he's going to be happy that we told you that.
Well.
No, I think he'll be.
They're okay now.
They're okay.
They
now.
made it.
Yeah. They got.
Richard Crouse.